Welcome everybody to our online program on addiction and recovery from the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in beautiful Powell River, BC. Where it's raining, by the way, on the Sunshine Coast. Anyway, we've been talking about this research study that we're conducting right now on the center, and it's a pretty sophisticated study, lots of statistics and psychiatric assessments and all that. But a big part of this research is to understand from an addict's point of view how they make sense of addiction and recovery. Now the research isn't complete and the analysis isn't complete, but some themes are beginning to emerge, and we'll pursue them to make sure they're confirmed. But some of them are quite interesting. So one of the things we found so far is, because we interview some of the fellows when they've just made this decision to quit the drug. So we're very, very early in recovery, and asking them about addiction, about themselves, why they used, all that. And one of the themes that's really quite prominent is the idea that addicts don't really have a good sense of who they are as a person. So this is an issue of identity. The answer to the question, who am I? How do I make sense of myself? Who do I think I am? And this very weak sense that they seem to have of themselves, it's quite remarkable because it leads to all sorts of consequences. We've mentioned them before in the online program, and one of the consequences, if you have this weak sense of who you are as a person, you will tend to put a lot more energy into the outside world, relying on it to help you understand exactly what you're going through, what you believe, what you think is important, what you value, what you should do, how you should act, all that kind of thing. So it's really quite interesting to see this. And particularly interesting, of course, is once they go through treatment, because we ask them more or less the same questions. And just watching them progress through treatment, what we really notice is that by the end of treatment, they have a much more substantial understanding of who they are as people. So when we ask them, well, who are you? It's really quite remarkable that they can tell us, generally without too much hesitation, what's important to them, what they believe. So it's built up from inside. So this idea of addiction as a lack of a sense of self is really quite interesting. And because it's me, you get Eugene O'Neill, of course. Eugene O'Neill, the great Addict Nobel Prize winning playwright, said at towards the end of his life, when he was making sense of why he drank so much, he actually concluded that the great benefit of drinking was that the person who he was, that would just melt away into nothingness, and that he would just join the cosmos, as he put it, or join nature. He always said, well, I should have been a fish. I would have felt much more comfortable as a fish and just being part of nature. But of course, as a human being, that was pretty unacceptable to him. And in fact, it was at that point when he quit the drink altogether. But it's this idea of losing the self, and if it's true, this would certainly go a long way to explain a lot of the suffering that addicts have, because how do you live in the world if you really don't know who you are, if you have no real tangible sense of self? I mean, this is a pretty tough way of existing in the world. Of course, if you're a drug addict and you're intoxicated, yeah, then there's no problem, right? You get rid of all that clutter, if you're feeling guilty, you get rid of all the guilt and all that kind of stuff. But sobering up, man, you're back to that place where you really don't know very much about yourself, right? So this is a tough way of living. Anyway, that's just another example of what we've been discovering from the research, and we'll be back next time with some more things that we found.